Shavua Tov, a gute Woche, a gmach sima teva, a shono teva suko, a good, happy, and sweet year, lonu ulechol Yisrael. Monday is Yom Kippur, and Friday we are ushering in the Yom Tov of Sukkot. And because of the Kriyas, we will concentrate on the Yom Tov of Sukkot. But before we get to Sukkot, there are many people who ask a question about Rosh Hashanah, which I want to share with you. On Rosh Hashanah, there is a minhag in many Jewish communities that you eat ahead, and you say, that we should be heads and not tails. And there's a question here, that asking to be ahead is not exactly a Chassidish request. Without going into details, it's not a Chassidish request. There's some people who ask for it, maybe, but for Chassidim to ask every Jew who wants to be a chief, it's questionable. Now, you're going to say that in Chabad we don't say it. We don't say Yohrtzait Sheni L'Reish. However, there's reference to it in Chabad. The Rebbe writes in Hayom Yom that you eat Reish Ayil, a head of an Ayil, of a ram, or keves, or a lamb, but you don't say the Yohrtzait only on the tapuach. But there is a reference to the Reish Ayil. The Rebbe would eat part of a Reish Ayil, was known, and the Rebbe would eat a head of a fish on the first night of Rosh Hashanah. So there is a reference to it also in Chabad. So we have to understand, what does this mean? Every Jew wants to be a chief. First of all, it's questionable. How can that be? How can everyone be a chief? Suppose there is a boat and there are sailors. Every sailor is going to want to be a captain. First of all, it doesn't work. Can you imagine a boat with all the sailors are captains? That boat would never move. It would be a question, do you go to the right, do you go to the left, what time do you go, when do you go? There would be so many differences of opinions that the boat would never move. The Gemara already said, a pot that has several partners is never hot and never cold. Everyone depends on someone else. We just said the Haftarah of Yena. And in the Haftarah of Yena there were sailors. But not every sailor was a captain. There was one captain, Rav HaChevel, one captain, not everyone. Not everyone can be a captain. It doesn't work that way. And here everybody says, Yohrtzait Sheni L'Reish. We all should be captains. How do you reconcile this kind of tefillah? The answer is, Rabbi Say, and it's here for you to think about, that the tefillah is not that every single person should be a reish. Because if the tefillah would be that everyone should be a chief, the tefillah would have been, the terminology should have been, arguably, Yohrtzait she'ehye l'reish, that I should be a chief. We do not say that. We say Yohrtzait she'nihye l'reish. We should be the heads. Who is the we? It's the royal collective we of the Jewish people. We're not asking for ourselves. We are asking Yohrtzait Sheni L'Reish, that we, the Jewish people, should be the head of all the nations of the world, and that they should listen to us, and not that we should have to listen to them and ask them for favors. And to prove that, there's a pasuk in Chumash, V'yisol L'Reish v'Le'siyah L'Zonov, a pasuk in Parshas Kisovei in the Brachos. So the Ramban says, what does this mean? You're going to be L'Reish, that you, the Jewish people, are going to be the heads of all the Goyim. That's what the Ramban says. That we're going to be the heads of the nations, so that the nations would listen to us. And there would be a world of peace, of justice, of goodness and kindness, as the Jewish people want. And not it should be a different kind of world, and they should do us a favor, and we should need to ask them for things. That is, so therefore it's understood. Sheni L'Reish is a collective tefillah. We, the Jewish people, together, as one unit, should be l'reish, the heads of all nations. Rabbi say, as mentioned before, we are going to concentrate on the wonderful Yontiv of Sukkot that we are going to start in Yot Hashem Friday night. But first, our customary story, or in this case, customary stories. And as we just observed, Vov Tishrei, the Yohrtzait of the Rebbetzin, the Rebbe's mother, we will share some of the stories concerning Rebbetzin Chana. I heard her say many times, Ich bin nicht nur an Neishes Chovel, ich bin nicht nur a Bastam mit Chochem, ich bin eich an Neishes Chovel. I'm not only a Bastam mit Chochem, the daughter of a Talmid Chochem, her father Reb Meir Shleime, I'm also an Neishes Chovel, I'm the wife of a great Goyen. And she said it a few times that I heard. She also told the story that the last time that the Rebbe saw his father and his father saw the Rebbe, the Rebbetzin said the father knew that this is their last Simchas Torah together. The son knew that it's the last Simchas Torah together. But the father wouldn't say it to the son, and the son wouldn't say it to the father. And what did they do, Simchas Torah? Sie haben getanzt und getanzt und getanzt. They danced and danced and danced. The Rebbe didn't want his mother to be left alone in the house. One of the people in charge of that was my sister Leah, the wife of Rabbi Shmuel Butman. And many times, sometimes she would call me and she would tell me that tonight, between 8 and 10, whatever, take a sefer, whatever you want, and go to the Rebbetzin Chana's house. You will sit in the dining room. The Rebbetzin will be in her room. The door is open. The Rebbetzin should not be alone. When I was about 16 years old, she once told me that she needs a favor. And she brought out a pair of short boots, black suede boots. And she said that by elderly people, the inside bone on both legs perturbs, and therefore it's difficult for her to wear these boots. So she gives me the boots, and she says, you'll figure out a way to fix it. And so I took the boots. I asked Almighty God for help. And then on Albany and Union, on Albany and Union, there was an apartment house. Now it's no longer there. Now it's empty. They're going to build a shul there. But then there was an apartment house, and on the Albany Avenue side, there were several stores, including a shoe store, a schuster, a Jewish schuster. I went to that schuster. I told him that this is I didn't tell him for whom, but I told him this is for a very important person. And I told him what to do. He should cut out a larger hole, a larger circle, and he should put in a patch that the outside should be black suede and the inside should be fur. And he should do it very meticulously. The person, the schuster, the shoemaker, heard me very well, and he said he's going to do his best. Came back next day, and he gave him back to me, and he did what seemed to me a very good job. I brought her to the Rebbetzin. She said, "Ein minute." She went into to her room. She put them on, and when she came out, she was smiling. She said these words, "Sehr gut, sehr bequem." Very good, very comfortable. I thanked Almighty God for the great schus that I had. I believe this was the first time we were there with my mother, Aleh Shalom, and she told my mother a story, that between the time of the engagement to the Levi Yitzchok and the time of the wedding, which took, it seems, a few months, she wanted as altrogen a shlappe. A shlappe is a hat like this. As a matter of fact, you hear in the recording of the Rebbe in his room, Tovshin Lamed Ches, you hear the Rebbe ask, before he said the Maimon, the Rebbe said, "Wo die Schlappe?" So this is called a Schlappe. And he wanted a casket. And the negotiations took a while. And then she put her eyes down and she said, "Und ich hab es gefühlt." And I had my way. That's the story she said. When I heard the story from the first time, only one time she told the story, in 1954 when we came, I didn't tell the story to anyone. I figured this is a personal story that the Rebbetzin is telling my mother about the wedding, and I'm not going to share this personal story with anyone. About 2 or 3 years ago, I read a story in Hebrew that somebody published, and the story goes like this: that between the engagement and the wedding, the Rebbetzin Chana wanted the Levi to wear a shlape, and he didn't want. So he wrote a letter to the Rebbe Nishma Seiden in Lubavitch, and he asked the Rebbe Nishma Seiden what to do. And the Rebbe Nishma Seiden answered he should do what the Rebbetzin Chana wants. And it's no contradiction to what the Rebbetzin Chana told my mother, because the Rebbetzin Chana told the story as she knew the story. And as the Rebbetzin Chana said, "Und ich hab es gefühlt." And I had my way. Talking about the wonderful Yontif of Sukkot, Haba Aleinu Val Kol Yisrael L'Teva V'Livrocho, Yom Hashem Friday night. There could be a question: what is greater, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur or Sukkot? And now one is going to say, what difference does it make? What's greater? They are both of very, very great importance in Jewish life. So we're not really saying what is greater, but let's see what the Alter Rebbe says. There's a maimer in Lekutei Torah, in my father's old Lekutei Torah that's Baruch Hashem used very well, that my father used for many, many years. There are 3 Maimonim that start by Yom Hashmini Atzeres Tiyeh Lochem. And this is the first of the 3 Maimonim of Yom Hashmini Atzeres in Lekutei Torah. And there the Alter Rebbe sheds light on this question, if you may. What is a greater Yontif? And this is what he says. He brings, there's a posuk, Ben Chochom Yisamach Av. A son that is a Chochom brings joy to the father. The father rejoices that the son is a Chochom. He explains, what does it mean? Of Shereitze Lehovin Chochmas B'nei. A father wants to understand how smart his son is. So what does he do? Azai Mastir Es Atzmi Mimenu. So he hides from the son. Bichdei Leda Ulahakir Chochmas Aben. Then he will understand the Chochmah of the Ben. What's going to be the Chochmah? Because all of a sudden the father hides. So a son that is not a Chochem will think it's because the father doesn't want to see him. A son that's a Chochem says, no, this cannot be. It's not that my father is hiding himself from me because he doesn't want to see me, or he doesn't want me to see him. There must be a reason. He wants me to look for him. Sheyovin shehaheste ve'yahelem hazeh eini elo b'chdei sheyivakshenu haben ve'yimtzoenu. It's the reason that the father hides himself from the son is only for one reason, that the son should look for him and find him. And what's going to happen then? V'yos tigdal hasimcha be'oviv b'shil chochmas b'nei. And then the simcha is going to be great by the father, that the father will see that the son is really a chokem. The son understood the real reason for the hiding. That now the reason for the hiding is chas v'sholem, that the father doesn't want to see the son, or he doesn't want the son to see him. The reason for the hiding is that the son should look for the father and find him. What does it mean now? So the Alter Rebbe explains. There is Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and there is Sukkot. On the Rosh Hashanah it says Bakese. Kese comes from the word Kisui. Kisui means cover. Almighty God the Father is covered. We don't see Him. And therefore He wants us to look for Him and to find Him. And when we find Him, then the Father is very happy. So the Alter Rebbe says like this, that on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the king is like hiding. Bakesa, he's hiding, he's covered. And we have to look for him. And he says these words. But through Lochen on the Mevakshim Ponov. And this is why we're looking for the king. The Cholat Tfilis. In all the tefillas and v'tachanunim in all supplications, Shemeresh Hashon Avad Yom Kippur, in Malchias and Zichrenis and Sheferis, we are looking for Almighty God. V'tzeakim, and we are screaming, Melech, Melech, King, King, Almighty God, Melech Ha'olam Kule B'chvidecho. We are looking for Almighty God, and then we find Him, and then when we find Him. That's why, when do we find him? On Sukkot. This is Sukkot. It's called Zman Simchoseinu. Why is it Sukkot Zman Simchoseinu? Because the Son finally found the Father. And now they are together, and now they are rejoicing together. So what it comes out from the Alter Rebbe, that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is a hachone, is a preparation for Sukkot, for the Zman Simchoseinu. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, when there is a form of concealment, when we don't see the Father, however, we don't see it, but we look for Him, and we scream Melech, Melech, and we find Him, then on Sukkot is a great simcha. Simchoseinu, because now we are together. Before we were not together. The Father was one place, the Son was in another place. The Son was looking for the Father, but finally found Him. On Sukkot we're together. It's Man Simchoseinu. I attended many, many years ago a Fabringen of the legendary Mashpia, Rebbetzin Chana. And it was in Sukkot time. I was glad to Yohrtzait Kislev. The Fabringen was upstairs in 770. And in a special way, Rebbetzin told the story that people come to him and they say, they go into the sukkah on Sukkot and they don't feel anything. They don't feel anything special. So I asked them, did you learn the halachas in Rebbetzin Shulchan Aruch of Sukkot? Did you learn the halachas in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch of Sukkot? Did you learn the Maimorim Basukos Teishu Shivas Yomim? From all the Rebbes, from the Alter Rebbe, from the Mittel Rebbe, and so on. Did you learn those Maimorim? Did you go to the mikveh before? Did you prepare yourself for Sukkot? You come in from the cold world, straight into the Sukkah, and then you expect the sun to shine. Doesn't work that way. The Rebbetzin says, you want to feel something about Sukkot, you start before. You learn the halachas, you learn Mesichta Sukkah. You learn the halachas in Rebbetzin Shulchan Aruch. You learn the halachas in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. You learn the Maimorim Basukos Teishu Shivas Yomim. What happens when you go into the Sukkot? The Geluyim of Sukkot. You go to the mikveh before you prepare, and then with God's help, you're going to feel something. But coming in from the cold world, landing in the Sukkah, that is not going to accomplish what you would like to accomplish. And it is to believe that each and every one of us, as the Alter Rebbe says, we prepare for Sukkot. We're looking for Almighty God, and we found Him. And now that we found Him, together with Him, Simchoseinu, our Simcha, our mutual Simcha, we are both happy. We celebrate the wonderful Sukkot together. My father, Olav Sholem, would tell a story that he heard from the Rebbe's father, and I think that Rabbi Yitzchak said that he tells the story every Sukkot. And the story goes that in the town of Berditchev there was no esrik. And in the olden days there was something that benimtza. It's even known, I heard it once from Rabbi Yale, there was once in Lubavitch there was only one esrik. And the Rebbe Nishma Satan had the esrik. And the one who has the esrik is also the chazan. So the Rebbe Nishma Satan was the chazan, and he heard some nusach from the Rebbe Nishma Satan. So here it's before Sukkot, and there is no, it's out of Sukkot, and there's no esrik. And the mood in the house is not a happy one. And the Rabbi Yitzchak tells his people they should go on the chaussee, on the highway. Maybe there will be a Jew that's traveling through Berditchev, and maybe he has an esrik, and they should get the esrik from him, esrik and lulav. And they did, and they found a Jew. And they took him to the Rabbi Yitzchak. And the Rabbi Yitzchak asks him to stay with him Sukkot. And the man says he's going home to his wife and children, and he wants to celebrate Sukkot there. And the Rabbi Yitzchak says to him, if he goes home, he promises, if he stays here, he promises him that he will have a family. So he said, Rebbe, I just told you I have a family, Baruch Hashem. And I want to go home to my family, and I want to celebrate Sukkot. The Rebbe Yitzchok says to him, if you stay here, I promise you ashiras. I promise you riches. And the man says, Rebbe, Baruch Hashem, I have riches. And because I have riches, I was able to buy a very, very good esrog and lulav. And now I want to go home to my wife and my children, and I want to celebrate Yom Tov. So the Rebbe Yitzchok of Valdishev says to him, if you stay with us, I promise you, imi bim chitzosi. We don't know exactly what that means, but in general terms it means you'll be with me in my compartment, together, you and I, in Gan Eden. And to be with the tzaddik, the Rebbe Yitzchok, in the same compartment in Gan Eden is not something that one can turn down. And the Jew agreed. The Jew agreed, and he stayed for Sukkot. Let know his wife and children, whatever. First night Sukkot, he was expecting there'll be a whole line of people inviting him to their Sukkah. No one is inviting him. He's the last one in shul, and no one is inviting him. So he gets out of the shul, and the first Sukkah he finds, he knocks on the Sukkah, and he asks if he can come in. And they said, no, you can't come in. Go to the Rov. Knocks on the second Sukkah, go to the Rov. On the third Sukkah, go to the Rov. He went to the Rebbe Yitzchok and he said, Rebbe, I don't understand this. I stayed here for you. I was expecting many people are going to invite me. Nobody invited me. I knock on one Sukkah, I knock on the second Sukkah, I knock on the third Sukkah. They all send me to the Rov. I don't understand what's going on. The Rebbe Yitzchok said, I told everybody not to let you in. You should come to me, and I'm going to ask you, you should release me of my promise to you of imi bim chitzosi. My father would tell the story. When it came to this part, the Rebbe's father would say with great excitement that the Jew had gegeben a geschrei, Vos mir imi bim chitzosi, a sukkah darf ich haben. Why do I need imi bim chitzosi? More or less, that's a translation. I need a sukkah. And then the Rebbe Yitzchok said to him, now that you release me from my promise, you can go to any sukkah you want. I'm going to let the people know. They shall let you in. He spent sukkahs. After sukkahs, the Rebbe Yitzchok called him, and he said to him, you're probably wondering, what did I do? First, I promised you, and then I made conditions to be so that you should release me from my promise. Why did I do that? So I'm going to tell you. I promised you imi bim chitzosi, but you didn't really do something to deserve imi bim chitzosi. Yes, I said I'm going to give it to you, but you didn't really do something to deserve it. Now that you gave away imi bim chitzosi for the mitzvah of sukkah, now you deserve imi bim chitzosi, and now I am giving you back my promise of imi bim chitzosi. As mentioned, I heard the story from my father, Olav Shalom, who heard the story from the Rebbe's father, a Goyen Chosid Am Kubal, the Rebbe Yitzchok Nishmosa Eden. It should be Zman Simchasenu. Simchasenu is plural, our Simcha. Who is the our? Almighty God and the Jewish people and Almighty God. And let this Simcha be paired together. And this Simcha bring about the eternal Simcha. The Simcha of the Gula Amitis V'Ashlema, of the coming of Mashiach, and the Gula Amitis V'Ashlema. U'ba'agol of the Dan, of Simcha of Tuv Livov, u'v'teva nira ve'aniglo, u'lamato me'asor atvochim, u'v'chesed, u'v'rachamim, v'teikef, u'miyad, mamish.